Okay, so we're going to cut that part out. Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Tech. Tonight we're going to talk about checklists, how they can help your business, why you should be using them, even though you probably have never thought about it before, and the difference between a to-do list and a checklist, because that is a major part of this conversation. A lot of people think that they're using checklists when they're actually using to-do lists. But look at it this way, right? If a checklist is good enough for NASA, for pilots, so on and so forth, why aren't they good enough for us, right? Why, if those folks rely on that to do their business day in and day out, why wouldn't we consider it, right? The best and the brightest minds in the world are using checklists to get their jobs done, to stay on track, and to make sure that they are removing any possibilities of errors wherever they possibly can, right? So it's just smart to use checklists. We're smart. We need to be using checklists. So let's get this party officially started. So, if we are not using checklists in our businesses, and the odds are that we're not, this is something that we need to look at. And there's a lot of reasons why, and we're going to go through those here. There's a lot of benefits to it. But the important thing here is to keep in mind that this is an opportunity for us to do our jobs better, faster, more efficiently, and if we happen to be lucky enough to have people working for or with us, to help make them more successful. So we're talking major wins across the board here. For those of you who are new, my name is Kathleen Sinnott. I'm here as your tech coach. Basically, technology is my day gig. It's also my hobby. So I'm the person people turn to when they have questions. And lately, my focus has been about helping businesses, whatever size, solo entrepreneurs, small businesses, what have you, make the most out of the technology that we've got, because I have this silly idea that technology should work for us, not the other way around. So that's why we're here. Hello, Stuart, over on YouTube. It is great to see you. Thanks for coming by. And hello to John over on Facebook. Always happy to have you here. So what is the difference between a checklist and a to-do list? Let me bring up my magical little screen here, which now I'm realizing I don't have set up right because it's been that kind of a day. Hang on one sec, and I will get that fixed. I keep changing how I've got my show set up because you've got to try different things, right? This is an important way to keep improving and to keep learning also. So that is what I did, and the only problem is that I had the overlay set up for last week's show. And we're not in last week anymore, we're in this week. Okay, so let's see if I got this right. Ta-da! So, the difference between a checklist and a to-do list is critical to understanding what we're talking about here, right? Because people think they're using it, but they're using the wrong terms. People who know me in real life know how I feel about terminology, vocabulary being used precisely, what a difference it makes. And so that's the first thing we're going to cover here, because when you go to research this for yourself, you're going to do a search online and you're going to see lots of business to-do lists. Hey, great, I don't have to build my own. No, I'm sorry, business checklists. And the problem is that they are to-do lists because a checklist is something very specific to you, the way you do things, the way your business is run. To-do lists are more generic, okay? So as a basic understanding, right, you do checklists to document a process, especially a process that you need to repeat, whether that's every day, every month, a couple times a year, regardless. The point is that you want to document it so that you're more efficient about it, you don't miss any steps, because missing steps can also lead to errors, and a bunch of other reasons that we're going to cover in a minute. Whereas a to-do list is more of a one-off, right? It's an ad hoc kind of thing, right? It's something that you do. The order changes, the things that are on it changes all the time. You basically do them and then throw them away. Not that they're not useful, because of course they are, but they are different from checklists. Checklists are repeatable. To-do lists are get it done, move on, throw it away. So hopefully that makes sense. Here's the thing. So no matter how many times pilots, astronauts, even Santa Claus, right, have flown, done their job, run their processes, they all pull out a checklist which tells them the process to go through, the steps to repeat when inspecting their aircraft, getting their engines checked, right, taxiing, communication, filing their flight plan, right, making sure they've got all the presents for the kids, and the takeoff process, right? Everything is documented. And if you've never actually seen this kind of a thing, hang on one second and I will show you Like if you do a search for the NASA pre-flight checklist, this is the kind of search results you get. And you can click in on any of these and see the details. If you are a space junkie like myself, you're going to go down a rabbit hole with this. We're not going to do that now because they're fascinating and, very educational. But it is the kind of thing that is just de rigueur, right? This is what they do all the time. This is a part of their process. This is a part of how they make sure it's always right. And this is an example of one that is just about ground icing procedures for planes, right? And I'm just doing this to show you that these are not to-do lists, right? This is very different. You've got to go through all of these things every single time in this order. Very often the order matters. So this is the kind of thing that we are talking about here. And this is the kind of thing that absolutely can and will help your business should you give it that opportunity. So let me just get that back now. Okay. So are we clear about the difference between the two of these, right? We're good? All right. So let's keep going. Let's start to talk about the benefits of checklists, right? So neurologically speaking, our minds are better at remembering, understanding things like the paths or the generalities of things rather than the actual steps that we take, which is great, except that information is only good for a short time period in our brains because other things are going on. We're thinking about other things. We have to remember other things. And so over time, we think we remember, but it turns out if you actually test yourself, the memory gets a little fuzzy or it makes assumptions or it skips things. So that's why writing these things down is so crucial. It is one of the things that we all overestimate our ability to remember this kind of stuff. And if you need proof of this, think about what you go through every time the time changes and you have to go into your car or to the microwave, or if any of you are still using a VCR, to change the time, right? There's a certain amount of cursing and some people just give up and just deal with the fact that the clock is an hour off. It's not that the process is terribly complex, but it is highly customized to the device. And every time we do it, we think, oh, okay, I'll remember that next time. But if we had actually written it down and slide it under the device or put it in the glove compartment, it would be so much faster, so much easier the next time around. And that is what is important here. The other benefit to relieving your brain of trying to have to remember this is that it frees up space, right? Okay, so think about, the brain like a CPU. That's what most people kind of think of it as. It can only handle so much at a time. So if you can offload some of that processing, it frees up your brain to be more creative. It frees up your brain to think about other things, to imagine other things, which is where creativity comes from, right? And those creative juices that get to flow around your brain when you've given them that opportunity are the possible solutions to other problems that you're facing in your business, or coming up with new ideas for your business, new products, new services, new ways to position yourself in the market, creative ways of handling your customers, your suppliers. You have to give your brain the space to come up with that for you, right? We don't really understand how the brain works, but we do know that when it is overloaded, it is not able to do these kinds of things. So by writing these things down, putting them where you're going to be able to find them, or we'll be able to assign them to other people if you're lucky enough to have those, you are making your life easier. You are freeing up your brain to go ahead and kick in and help you by being more creative. Delegating becomes so much easier, right? So yeah, for most of us, we're doing everything, right? We're wearing all the hats, we're doing all the juggling, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to hand something over and say, okay, I need you to take care of this for me, and know that it's going to be taken care of the way that you need it to be taken care of. To know that no steps will be missed because they're all right there for somebody. And, best case scenario, you win the lottery and in your excitement and joy, you jump on a flight to someplace warm, and take off and then realize, oh, wait, I didn't take care of my business before I left. You won the lottery, maybe you don't have to, but you probably are still going to want to because that's how we're wired. Not so good scenario. You get sick, you get injured. For some reason, you right? The business are not there to do what needs to be done for the business, but the business still needs to get done, right? Your customers are still waiting on you. Your customers are still depending on you. Your suppliers are still going to come and supply you with whatever. They're going to want to get paid. Your customers are waiting for their invoices. All those things still need to be taken care of, even if you can't be there to do them. If you have documented your business and broken it into checklists for all the things that need to be done, you can rest assured then that somebody's going to be able to step up, help you out, keep your business going so that it's still there, either when you come back from that warm, sunny place or when you get better and are able to jump back in. Do this. Make yourself easier. Future-proof yourself. It's just like doing backups, right? You do them. You hope you never need them. But boy, if you need them, it is such a great thing to have them there. It's the same thing. It's insurance, if you need to look at it that way. It is the type of thing that you can do to make your life easier, to make your business run smoother, regardless of whether or not you are there at the helm every minute of every day. Sound good? Yes, we're getting this, right? Okay. Sorry, I meant to mute the mic, and instead I brought up the title, which is not the end of the world. Okay, let me take that out. So, being more productive, being more efficient. Yes, please. Right? Who is not going to raise their hand and say, yes, I want that? So again, by having these kinds of lists, it allows you to get more things done in less time with the assurance of knowing that they're right. You won't have that little voice in the back of your head going, something, I forgot something, I missed something, something's wrong, what did I forget? You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff because it's covered. You've got it in front of you. And you can just go through and you can, double check yourself if you need to, if that makes it feel better. You don't, it's the, oh God, did I leave the iron on? Did I leave the stove on problem? If you're running a checklist before you leave the house, you're sure it's all done. And it's the same kind of thing with this. It just makes everything better and more efficient. And by doing that, again, you're just making your whole business run smoother. It reduces errors, okay? Or at least reduces them, right? It removes them or reduces them. So again, by having the checklist, you're just making sure that everything is running exactly how you want it to. Of course, you're going to have to go in and update these things if you change your processes or whatever, but it just makes everything more efficient, safer, less error prone, which in the end makes you happier, makes your business run better, which makes your customers happier, makes your suppliers happier. It's a win across the board, and it is really not hard to do. You don't need anything other than a piece of paper and a pencil. And then you just start tacking these up where they need to be. If you want to be fancy, you can laminate them so that you can, take a dry erase marker and check things off, or, pin it to the wall and know it'll stay there for a while. Whatever works best for you, but literally paper and pencil is all you need. So the next big question is, how do you do this, right? So it's important to keep in mind a few things, and then we'll go through this in a little bit more detail. But right, there are good checklists and there are bad checklists. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? So you want to keep these kinds in mind, okay? So good checklists are precise, right? They're efficient, to the point, easy to use in the most difficult situation. So if you think about this in the context of, pilots and NASA and all that kind of stuff, right? These are people who have to deal with really catastrophic problems in a split second. They don't have time to mess around or second guess or dig through a book to find stuff or sit there and interpret and discuss the possible interpretations of something. No, straightforward, to the point, no possible way that it could be misinterpreted. Try not to spell out everything, right? It's not an instruction manual, okay? It is not super detail oriented. It is not a full-on training. It is the steps that need to be done in the order they need to be done, grouped accordingly, right? Because there's usually, like if you think about, let's say you're opening your store, right? So there's store openings and store closings every day when, you're getting ready to do business, and then when you're closing up for the day. So the first level is, opening for the employees to get in. So, maybe you're doing the back door, it's this key, go to the keypad, put this, code in, turn on the lights, turn on the computers, do these things in this order, do whatever else. So like that's, the primary, and then it's opening the store for the customers, which is turning on the store lights in the front, making sure everything is prepped and ready to go. The cash machines are working, the cash registers, not the cash machines. Your products are out, the new sale information is out, that you unlock the front door, right? Your customers can't come in if you've got a storefront, if you haven't unlocked the front door. It's that level, right? You're not saying, okay, you go to the register, turn it on, run the opening sequence, or maybe you are, but you're not showing like directions on how to change the tape or add more ink or troubleshoot it. That would be something different. This is just this is what we need to do to open, make sure the employees can get in, make sure the store is ready, make sure that the customers can come in and spend money, that type of thing. They provide reminders of only the most critical and important steps. Even the ones that you're sure that nobody could ever miss. See, that's the trick of this here, is you want to make sure that you always have all the steps there, even the ones that are so obvious to you that nobody could ever possibly miss them. It is super critical to make sure those are the ones there. So let's see. So Tom, hi Tom, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Tom says, I have a checklist for my church streaming. Exactly. So this is another great example, right? So like something happened with my camera, it moved. But I have one too, and actually I am in the process of changing it because I've just changed my whole studio. But I make sure, I've got my computer glasses, I've got my water, I've got the right monitors hooked up, I've got my Chromebook that I run for backup for the comments in case the regular comment tool fails. I go in and I add in things like this, right? I make sure that the right title is on this. I make sure, and I have all of these things listed out in order because it does matter which machines I turn on in what order does impact how well the software is going to run for that show. So that is a great example. Thank you, Tom. That is exactly the kind of thing we're talking about. These things that need to be done that on a day like this, like when I've just been like this with meetings all day, it's a lifesaver. It's a nice safety net for me, like, because I came rushing in here to do tonight's show, not only because today was crazy, but because this is not usually my night. Usually I do it on Thursday nights, but because I have something else I have to do tomorrow for the business, I couldn't, so I'm doing it tonight. So my whole schedule is messed up. Having the checklist made all the difference in making sure that I was able to get things running, including making sure that Mr. Murphy had his treat, so he's nice and quiet. Let's see. Are you using vMix? Yes, I am. Did you notice that from the little... So this is from the new title thing. I've actually started playing with creating some custom ones, but yes, I am a vMix user. I'm guessing you are too. I know it's pretty popular in the church streams, but yes, I love vMix. It is all kinds of awesome. And lets me run a show between vMix and my X keys. That's how I'm able to do a show by myself. I don't know how people run shows by themselves if they don't have these tools in place, all the automation that they can possibly find in place. It makes such a difference. I'm guessing you're using both of these too, right? Here we go. See the vMix groups here. First of all, thank you, Tom. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate that. And yes, I know Stuart is also a fan of vMix and the X keys. Actually, you had some available for sale. Do you still have those? Or because if you have those available, Stuart, you can put a link in. Go ahead. That's totally fine, because I am a fan of all the people getting the X keys. And oh, by the way, if you can get I think they're still calling them flippy feet here. Okay, the X keys beforehand were amazing. With the flippy feet, it's even better. Like, I did not think X keys could get any better, and then they came up with flippy feet. So go for it. Oh yeah, X key. I like the X keys and vMix. Like that combination for me, we're a little off camera, but that combination for me made all of the difference. It is such a great combination. It really does make it possible to run a show on this level of complexity by myself, and to also run shows remote. So since we're going here, we'll have a little commercial. Let me bring that up. So this here, hey, I got it right this time. Okay, if you are a QR code user and you're looking for help running your shows, if you want somebody to run your show for you, like bringing in this kind of stuff, while you are just talking and doing your thing and being able to focus on your show and your content, I have actually put together a way using vMix and X keys and some other tricks up my sleeve that lets me remote produce shows for you wherever you are in the world. And I've tested this. I've done this actually for a couple of years with a previous customer of mine who unfortunately had to stop doing it because of family reasons. But she was a lovely test case for all of these ideas. And so now I have a rock solid process. So if you are looking to live stream on this level, but you're finding it too much for you to handle on your own, reach out. We'll talk. We'll get it figured out. I can totally do this. And frankly, it's a lot of fun. And there's also it doesn't just stop there. We'll have strategy sessions. I'll help you, plan out your shows, all that kind of stuff. So feel free to reach out. Let's see. I use triggers in my vMix to make sort of a checklist to run some of the startup automatically. Absolutely. Like, so when I actually start the show, like I hit one button, but that starts. So right now I'm streaming to vMix. No, I'm streaming from vMix to Facebook, to Mixer, and to YouTube. And I'm doing a local recording all at the same time. And like turning the mic on, all that kind of stuff. All of that happens with one button click, thanks to the automations that you get with vMix and with Xkeys. So yep, absolutely. That is such a game changer. When I first started doing this a couple of years ago, trying to do all this stuff manually, it's certainly possible, but to do all that stuff manually and still do a show, a bit of a brain melt, I gotta say. Was not super easy. So yeah, that is definitely the way to go. All right, cool. That was a fun conversation. I like those conversations. All right, so here we go. Let's go back. All right, so like I said, you know, good. There are good checklists. There are bad checklists, without a doubt. Let me take my picture off so you can see all the text here. So you want to make sure that you're doing good checklists. But, you know, before we get too far into this, let me just talk about bad checklists. Bad checklists are vague, imprecise, too long, hard to use, written by the people who don't do the job but think they know how it's done. Like, you want your checklist to be built and tested. You want to test them by the people actually doing those steps. Now, most of our cases, that's us, but still, you want to make sure that you're going through them and then have somebody else run through them while you're watching, so you can see where you made assumptions and guesses and skipped things. So there you go. Stuart, yeah, shoot, I thought you would be able to do that in YouTube. Hang on, let my brain process that. We'll figure out a way. Actually, you know what? Send it to me. Send it to me in Facebook, and I'll grab it and post it for you. There we go. That's the way to go. Also, bad ones are too long, right? So that they try to pass off as a checklist and try to spell out every step. As we said, that's not the way to do that. The point of a checklist is to turn people's on rather than turn them off. So the recipe for success for this is make it simple, make it clear, make it practical, so that it's less stress, it's easier to delegate, easier to train, you're consistent, you've got efficiencies. So for example, right, each item must be clear and succinct in the way, in this way it'll be easy for people who will work with it. So if buzzwords make sense to the people who are doing it, by all means use them. If the people who will be using it may not know the buzzwords, right, or if the people who maybe are jumping in to cover for you, you may know the buzzwords but they don't, then don't use them. Or at least explain them, but short, to the point, make it clear. Organize them, right, by category, by grouping. This way people can work their way through each section, you know, in a logical way and not misinterpret, you know, a step by thinking that it's part of something that it's not. It's got to be clear and easy to use. Simple steps that remind the user in a straightforward way which steps to follow, right? It's not an 800-page user guide. This is a clear and simple checklist reminder of all the things to do in the order to do it. Keep refining it. Keep going back to it. These are not one-off things. You're going to refine them as you go along. You're going to improve them. Keep going back. Keep running those tests on them. Anytime that you're doing a checklist and it hasn't been looked at in 6 months, it's a good time to take, 10, 15 minutes, run through it, verify it, look for ways to improve it. Everything can always be improved. Don't ever forget that. It is sometimes easy to forget, but it is important that you keep going back to them to make sure that they're right. Checklists help you maintain consistency and good practices in an easy and convenient way, right? That is the whole point of this, which is why it's so important to keep them up to date. They'll also help you save resources and energy, and your team just has to follow what you've got developed and what's already in place, which is great. Let's see. So Tom says, checklists are very important if you have someone else that needs to run your production. For me, it would be volunteers. Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about here. You need to acknowledge the reality, right? It's not always going to be you, for whatever reason, good or bad. There's going to be times that other people are going to be involved, other people are going to be doing it, and you're not there to look over their shoulder. And frankly, if you've got other people there, you don't want to be looking over their shoulder, because the point of them being there is to help you. So you should be able to say, here you go. Maybe you do a pre-session, an initial training. Like I said, this is not a replacement for actual training, right? You still have to train your people. That's very important. But this should be the thing that after they've been trained, after they've seen it done, after they've done it themselves, looking at this checklist, you say, right, forgot that, need to do that. Got it. That's exactly the result you're looking for when you're putting together your checklist. And that's when you know you've gotten to the success point. So that is super important. Thank you. Alrighty, we are almost at the end of this. So just as a summary, okay, the checklist gets the dumb stuff out of the way, takes the routines that your brain shouldn't have to remember, right? And puts it down in a way so that anybody can jump in and take care of it, which lets everything else rise to the top and lets your project, your business, your organization be successful. All right, so here are some examples of the types of things that businesses can do that they might need to do checklists for, right? So store opening and closing. That one jumped right to my head because that was something I did many years ago when I was working retail. Because I couldn't be there 7 days a week. I didn't want to be there 7 days a week. And in particular, so I was working in a big box store, but I was management and nobody had ever written down the store open, the store close procedures. So every time somebody new came in, the person who came in the next day would find all kinds of problems. The alarm wasn't set, stuff wasn't processed properly at the end of the day, whatever. Then also because I was running the jewelry counter, which is a whole other level of complexity. And with the high turnover of people, I needed to know that things were going to be taken care of. So I started doing these checklists for my team. And then I did checklists for the store open and close myself because I didn't want to make any mistakes. And then people saw me using them. They're like, can I get a copy? I'm like, of course, everybody could have copies. And then other people got together and other people, started to, suggest changes and additions. And that was great. Year-end processing is a great example, right? You do year-end processing once a year. You're gonna forget stuff. So don't put yourselves through it. Don't stress over it. Most people dread the year-end processing. Do your checklist, have it ready to go so you can just take it out and run through it and your year-end processing will be a lot less stressful. See, there we go, Tom. I had it on the list. Live stream prep. Live stream prep, running your show, all of that kind of stuff needs checklists for yourself. For the people who help you, if you have volunteers come in, if maybe most of the time you do it alone, but maybe every once in a while you do a bigger show and other people are involved, whatever the reason, it's just better to have it. It makes your life easier. And if for no other reason, that's the reason to do it. Running reports, right? Your cash reports, your accounting reports, your invoices, your AP, right? All of those things. Different people need them. They need to be done at different times. There's probably different selections you have to make in your tool. Don't play games with it. Don't make it a time waste. Have it all checklist. You can just go through, okay, I need to run the AP. That's this, and this. Boom. Next. You're going to thank me. I'm just telling you, you can thank me later. Pick one of these and do it, and you'll see the value of it very quickly. You want to do, all the checklist for running and testing your backups. You are doing your backups, right? Hang on. You are doing your backups, right? Backup. Every day, every week, every month. Go wild. Every quarter, okay? But you want to make sure that you've got that process checklist, that you do your testing on a regular basis, right? John hears me rant about this all the time. All this kind of stuff. So that's, that is a really great example. I'm not going to, you can read these. Invoicing, new customer onboarding, processing payroll, inventory monitoring, troubleshooting. If you start to look at your business, whatever your business is, you're very quickly going to see these repetitive tasks that would benefit from having a checklist handy. It is something that the more you do it, the more you're like, hey, this is great. I'm going to go do this for this and this. And that's a good thing. That is a very good thing. Let's see, we've got more conversations here. Okay, thank you, John. Yes, thank you for the shout out on Mixer. I don't know why that image came in because of the image that you put in the thing. That's cool. That's very cool. Yes, that's true. So I am on Mixer. Hello. I'm on Mixer. I'm on Twitter. Thank you for that, John. Appreciate it. How would you describe a troubleshooting checklist? Well, that depends on your business, right? So let's pick an example. Okay, so let's say you have a landscaping business, right? So your troubleshooting is going to be things like, running the when the lawnmower won't start, or the lawnmower starts but it's not cutting, or the lawnmower keeps dying. Like there's certain things about your tools, right, that are going to happen that you can go ahead and checklist out. That's a perfect like parallel to the pilots at NASA, right? When things go wrong on a plane, when things go wrong on a space mission, they don't want to have to pull out an 800-pound manual and dig through and find what they're looking for. No, 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 no. They want, okay, we're having this problem. Here we go. Check these 4 things. Great. Let's check these 4 things. Okay, that one fixed it. Or it didn't. But at least it can get through quickly. With vMix, right? So sometimes you start up vMix and, something doesn't work right. Like I am notorious for forgetting to double check because I switch it around because I do live streams for different people. So I need to go through and just double check. And that's why I built my checklist, to make sure that in vMix Social, I've got the right title selected, because I have a really nasty habit, just for my show for some reason, to end up trying to put the comments in on my name overlay, that kind of thing. Or maybe the overlays aren't working. That type of thing, so that when somebody runs into the problem, they don't have to worry. Audio's not working, or you're using vMix Call and they can't hear you, can't hear them. There's a bunch of things you can run through and check. And that's the whole thing about this, right? The whole enchilada here is checklists are going to be very specific to who you are, what your business is, and how you do that business, right? So when you go online, and you will, and you search for business checklists. The first thing you need to be very careful of is 97% of those are not going to be checklists. They're going to be to-do lists. You'll see that as you start to compare those to like the ones I showed you for the pilots and for NASA. But more than that, yes, you can go and you can look online for ideas, and maybe they'll even be a good jumping off point for you, but they are not going to be representative of your business, because your business is special. You are unique, right? The tools you're using are not the tools everybody's using, or the combination is not what you're the same. So checklists by definition are going to be hyper specific to you, your situation, and how you do things. Does that make sense, hopefully? Oh boy, look, John is on the ball tonight. Look at him getting all these things done. Oh, except that it came up with the mixer logo, even though you had a different one in there. I don't know why. I have to figure out where see, this is what we're talking about though, right? I have to go troubleshoot this, and I've never done it before, but when I do, I will do a checklist for myself. Yes, right? If you have a flat tire for your car, that's a troubleshooting checklist. And if you are a landscaper, right? Or a dog walker, right? My dog walker had trouble with her car. She's got a checklist, I'm sure, from her boss that says, if you are not able to get from job A to job B, you need to contact me, you need to contact the client, you need to call one of your coworkers and get them to cover, right? There's probably a checklist for that kind of event. Not so much troubleshooting, but an emergency situation being handled, right? Let's see. Boxes with if yes, go here, if no, go here. Possibly. That is possible. In general, you want to try to minimize the branching as much as possible, because you want it to be, again, efficient, precise, that type of thing. But there's going to be situations where you have to do that, right? So on a case-by-case basis, yes, absolutely. You just you probably don't want it to turn into major nesting, but there's going to be some situations where it's like, option A, option B, or option C, or, the noise is more like this, or more like that, and go that way with it. Jason, hello, how are you? Welcome to the party. Happy to have you here as always. Hope you're having a good day. So yes, I mean, that is the challenge of doing these kinds of things, is it will be very specific. My recommendation to you, as with all things, start simple. Pick one. Do it, refine it, get comfortable with it, and then look for something else, right? Don't come up with, a list of 50, because maybe you don't need 50. But start with, something basic, like starting your live stream, opening your store, onboarding a new customer, troubleshooting, the equipment, whatever it is that feels like you'll get an immediate benefit from by having it, even if that immediate benefit is sleeping better at night, because that is not something to be treated lightly, right? So anything that you can do, just pick one. For me, I'm in the process of redoing it for starting my live stream, because that tends to be the biggest time crunch for me. And there's a lot of pieces, because unfortunately, like right now, like, you know, I don't have a set of glasses I can leave here. I don't have multiple Chromebooks to leave here to cover for the commenting. So there's a lot of pieces that are going in and out of my office because I'm using them for other things every day. Someday when I win the lottery, that will be less of an issue, but I'll still need to go through and check, you know, is the computer good? I do a speed test to make sure that I've got a good connection, because if not, I tend to do that about 20 minutes beforehand. If it's not good, I'll bounce the router and try it again, right? Make sure everything's in place. Do a sound check the monitors, I run through and I check all of the overlays, right? I do this one, I do that, I do this one, right? I bring up the URL, like all these things, just to make sure that they're working, make sure I didn't forget everything. That's usually when I catch, you know, if I didn't update this from last week, which I did, I'm good. But that's all the kind of stuff that is in my checklist for my live streams when I do them for me. I have a completely different set when I'm doing live streams for somebody else, right? Because there's another level of complexity, right? I have to check their audio, I have to check their connection, I have to check their video. I have to make sure that they've given me everything that they want to use as, you know, materials for this particular show. I want to make sure that they haven't changed their minds in the topic because that happens. So the list for my show is different from the list from a client show. Alrighty. I think that hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And as we're wrapping this up here, let me bring this back here. If you need help, okay, that's why I'm here. That's what this show is about. You can put comments in whichever platform you're on. I always go back and check. So if you have a question, if you comment, that's fine. Go right ahead. Don't worry. I will absolutely catch it. If you want to reach out, okay, you go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. You can let me know there what your question, your comment is. If you have an idea for a show, great. Let me know. Put it there. My only request is if you need an answer to something quickly, let me know and let me know how to get back to you, so I will respond to you right away. If not, then what I'll do is I'll save it for another show, because the fact of the matter is, if you have the question, somebody else has the question out there, and they would probably benefit from the answer too. But don't let that stop you. If you need a fast answer, tell me, and I will do my best to help you out. Case in point, my nephew yesterday. He's a photographer. Everything was going fine. All of a sudden, when he's trying to post to Instagram, things were not working. A lot of research, a lot of testing, a lot of poking around. I think we figured it out. He's trying it right now. We'll know in about an hour. But don't hesitate. That's what this is all about. That's what I'm here for. And as I said earlier, if you want to do this kind of stuff on live stream, right? If you want to get to a more professional level of live streaming, but you don't want to buy vMix, you don't want to have to learn it, that's fine. We can work together. I can produce the show for you. You do your content. You tell me what you want as far as overlays or QR codes or whatever it is that you want, and we will work it out. We'll work out the pattern of when these things should show up, and that way you can concentrate on doing your content the way you need to for your audience, and I will help you or take care of the rest of it, depending on what the rest of it actually turns out to be. It's not a problem. The QR code is there if you're a QR code person. Otherwise, you can just go to yourtechcoach.net/one-click live streaming, no spaces. Okay? All right, everybody. I have to go and now attend to the puppy, who has been very, very patient. I hope that this has been helpful. I would love to hear from you folks about the checklists that you create and how they've worked. How you implemented them. It would be wonderful to share that so that other people can get some ideas. Feel free to either now or come back later and, you know, throw that in the comments, because that's the whole point of this, is we're all here to help each other. I will be here next week, back on Thursdays, like it's supposed to be. And I hope that you will be able to come and catch it either live or after the fact, whatever works for you. Thank you so much, Tom. I'm so glad that you were able to come and hang out. And I hope that we will all get to talk again soon. I hope you're all having a good start to your year, right? Because we are now officially in 2020, and it's time to kick in all that planning. Or if you haven't planned yet, go ahead and do that. And by the way, I did a show last week on doing surveys to find out how you can implement your plans or to pre-test your plans with your customers, your suppliers, and so on and so forth. You can go check that show out. That was last week. If you're just looking for the guide and you don't remember where that was, it's yourtechcoach.net/free survey guide. Checklists and surveys are two things that I have seen in my day gig working for, global enterprise companies. They use them all the time. And I've always wondered why people don't do it for themselves and their small businesses, their organizations. And so I'm here to stamp that out. We should all be using them. If they help the big guys, they can certainly help us too. Probably help us even more because we can react faster to all this kind of stuff. All right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and we will talk again soon. Go do your checklist. Bye.